Do you have anything to talk about?
Nope.
Do we ever, though?
Nope.
All right, ready?
Yep.
Hey, we're two fat guys.
And we just watched Iron Man 3.
The 3-inning. I think it's subtitle. Well,
I don't think it had a subtitle. Pretty sure.
It's the Winter Soldier, I think. Iron Man 3, the Winter
Iron
Soldier.
Man 3,
The
Dark World.
The Dark Soldier. The Winter World.
Yeah, so we're back. It's been a while.
It has been a while.
Since the Star Wars marathon. But more Marvel stuff is coming out.
Sure,
so time to add on to our crazy list of Marvel chicanery.
Which neither of us checked to see what we're up to. It's too many. So Clayton, you can do that.
40 some odd things in Marvel.
Yeah, it was a packed showing. We went opening day.
Yeah, we went opening night
It's us
at
and
like
Clayton.
10. So not like the 9 o'clock at night early showings, but the proper opening night.
Some of us have jobs.
But yeah, it was. You were not a fan of the crowd.
I was not a fan of the crowd. I was in no mood to deal with that crowd. Yeah, it was just us and Clayton. Hey, anything to say, Clayton? What? You're not actually there? I'm talking to no one? You're at home? Got anything to say, Clayton?
No, he's good.
I can't hear you.
As far as Iron Man 3, I say we try to talk spoiler free for a little while.
Oh, okay.
And then we'll talk about some spoilery things. Because there's not too many spoiler things.
I guess. I don't... Alright, we'll try to do this on the fly then.
Okay, that ends our spoiler free segment.
Like, I don't understand, like, yeah, it was good.
Because now that we've talked about this, all I want to talk about is the spoiler parts.
Yeah.
So forget what I said. There's going to be spoilers here. So if you haven't seen the movie, maybe don't watch this yet. But I really enjoyed how they did Mandarin.
Yeah, so for anyone who doesn't know, I mean, Tony Stark Iron Man was a propaganda piece, like a lot of comics were, like Captain America was, except it was the Cold War, so he was the capitalist hero. He was, free industry and just creativity and American can-do-itiveness overcoming everything. So his villain was a very stereotypical the Mandarin, who was this communist Chinese, like, terribly offensive person. And so they can't really do that in this day and age. It'd be poorly received.
Yeah, and I was kind of worried how they were going to do that. But then they cast Ben Kingsley, and I was like, oh, you know what? He's great. Mm-hmm. So I'm totally confident in whatever they're going to do. And then the movie started, and we kind of got our first taste of some Mandarin stuff.
Uh-huh.
And it was just that. It was like this very...
Well, it wasn't super, like, Asian offensive.
It wasn't super Asian offensive, but it was also very just...
super terrorist.
Terroristy.
It's like Disney villain level, like, he has no redeeming features. He's like, yes, now we kill
like menacing
children.
laugh. And I was like, that's an interesting direction. But again, I was like, Ben Kingsley, so
yeah, I mean, he's doing the hell out of it. He's doing the hell out of it, so more power to him.
So then it turns out that it's all a ruse.
Yeah, it's all like the Mandarin was an invented idea by the true villain of the movie, just to sort of create supply and demand for his new like genetic enhancement for warfare.
Yeah, but it.
And yeah, so you find out in Ben Kingsley's like this super British actor who's like drunk and everything you would want out of it. Anything you want out of finding out that the Mandarin secretly this drunk guy is exactly what you get. And I was blown away with how good it was.
Oh yeah, it was fantastic.
Like I said, I was saying earlier, my only complaint is that like Captain America didn't bust in, like punch him in the face, like right after you found out. It's like, don't worry, Iron Man, I got you. No, wait. Just punch this old man in the face.
So the trailers for this movie made it seem, and it was the intent of the trailers, I suppose, like it was going in a very The Dark Knight. This is the dark chapter, and Tony's gonna deal with all of his inner turmoil. Like it made it look like the tone of the movie was a far cry from the other Iron Man movies and Avengers, which I don't want to say worried me, but it got me a little nervous
Yeah,
going into it.
yeah, I can understand that, but and it also makes sense. It's like the Bioshock cover being sort of super stereotypical shootery cover, and you're like, why the hell would they do that? Like that's the opposite of what their fans want. Like, well, we don't need to sell the movie to the fans.
Yeah.
Like if you like the Avengers and Iron Man 2, you're gonna go see Iron Man 3. They don't need to sell it to you. So let's make a Michael Bay explosion Dark Knight trailer.
Yeah, and it's great because I thought the tone of the movie was fantastic.
Yeah, I think it's what it should have been. Like there was enough seriousness, but still the light humor, the great mix that the Marvel movies have all had. Well,
Yeah.
the Marvel Studios films have all had.
Yeah.
What,
Important distinction to make.
yes, yes, especially for us. Yeah, the Marvel Studios. That's what's making them successful is that they're hitting, I think, the tone of comic books exactly perfect for a film medium. And this film continues it. Like even when Tony's down and out in the dark chapter, the deep recesses of Act 2 when he's sort of down and out. They still find some nice humor in it, very lighthearted moments, some zany zingers, some one-liners, all sorts of good stuff that you come to expect out of these films. They keep at it, and tonally it was perfect. It was great.
Yeah, I thought because it was a new director, Shane Black, and I thought he did a great job of just kind of continuing that tradition.
Yeah, I mean, I could tell there's some stylistic differences, like the use of the montage, the quick cuts, and the going. Well, first off, using the voiceover.
Yeah.
Which is I love that they did that as the reveal scene after the credits.
Oh.
Like sort of justifying the use of the voiceover, as opposed to like Spider-Man, where it just happens like he's talking to the audience and you just accept that. In Spider-Man, in this Iron Man, it seems that way, and then at the end you find out he's talking to Bruce Banner.
Yeah, which
was it was a fun zany scene. I'm a little disappointed that it wasn't like anything more story impactful, like nothing more like pointing towards Guardians of the Galaxy or anything on a larger Marvel scale. But I enjoy it.
I'm actually kind of glad that it wasn't, because I think the Marvel Studios have established that they are all interconnected. They're all going to be kind of leading towards these kind of things. And I like that they're still taking that time to just put in that, sort of like the after the credit scene of Avengers, just like
that little zany
just
moments.
a little bit of fun, like it's and we're kind of we're having fun with this. We don't need to introduce Ant-Man at the end of this. Like now we know we're gonna put out an Ant-Man movie. People are gonna come see it.
Yeah, I guess really. Okay, so it's intercomplicated with me because I was a little disappointed in the level of crossover of this. I understand why they didn't. They're like, okay, we did our big crossover movie. We can take a step back. We can breathe and let these characters be their own. But one of the things I love about comic books, and I'm so excited that the Avengers work so well, it's just the casual crossover is sort of what I call it, where, sometimes where it's not the storyline, it's not like the whole purpose of the story is getting these guys together. Like, during this fight that's happening in, this city that this other character's in, this character might show up. This character might roll like, oh, hey, there's a bad guy here. I'm gonna punch him with you, okay? Is that cool?
Mm-hmm.
And while I know he was in Malibu for this and terrorist things are happening, but it's tagging the U.S. government. Like there are a lot of other heroes that would say, hey, maybe don't attack the U.S. government. And just like I thought they would give us a thank God for the whatever device throwaway line to like, oh, Captain America's in
That's true. I'm curious.
In Africa right now, looking for vibranium.
Though I wonder if that kind of thing is going to be covered. I wonder if like Winter Soldier is taking place at the same time.
That could be. That could also be too. Which
might give us a little bit of kind of reasoning for that. Like I assume Thor's already gone off to Asgard.
Well, that's the thing with Thor. Like we didn't hear anything about that. You think like, oh shit, like an alien spaceship just crashed into some college. Like from those shots, all that stuff that happens. You think. If it is happening at the same time, you get something in the background, which maybe there was and we just missed it. But I mean, I was hoping for something like that just because I'm a nerd and I'm never going to be upset when they're crossing over these characters. Yeah. Having said that, though, it was really enjoyable. I wasn't like, oh man, bring on these other characters. I was glad to watch an Iron Man film. There were some sort of predictable turns to the plot, just that like. The point of this film is to establish Tony Stark as a hero beyond Iron Man, or rather establish it beyond the suit. Mm-hmm. And also lightly touch on post-traumatic stress disorder, which is a whole thing, and they sort of hint at, and they don't really have time or it's not the right medium to really delve into an interesting story about post-traumatic stress disorder. So they sort of lightly touch on it as a complication, which I think was just enough. And it's good that they sort of give attention to the fact like, hey, this guy went through some stuff in this other movie. So That was a nice touch, and I think they did it well enough. It wasn't like slapping in the face like, get it, I'm still a hero even though without my suit. Like it was mentioned, it was established, and you understood why it was happening and what was important about it.
And I think they did a good job of just showing that. Like he did a great job in all of the scenes. There were a couple action scenes without the suit, or one of my favorites with a partial bit of the suit where he just had like the boot and the glove, and was like working with what he had.
Yeah.
And I thought that was great. A lot of the action scenes.
Yeah, the action scenes are fantastic. Like, that's what during those Joss Whedon quotes. Like, I've seen the movies. Like, I've seen the action sequence. Like, well, now what the hell am I going to have him do in Avengers 2? Like, I don't know what to do anymore.
I should probably look up who's kind of in charge of those things. And I wonder if it's the same people who've worked in other Marvel Studios films, or if that was just Shane Black going. Yeah, then this happens. But it was great.
Yeah, I do like the villains. So they did a good job of not giving us a third movie of a giant robot.
Yeah.
So that was a good call. I think the genetic engineering they tapping into. I think they could have gone like there's one point where the villain used sort of Thor's appearance to justify what he was doing, and I wish they would have given that a little more to make him a little more sympathetic. Because at a certain point, like I felt as if Guy Pearce's character, I was like, you're just too like in the very beginning, like, oh yeah, he's this nerdy guy who got spurned by Tony Stark. Then like you next see him as this like charming, super villainous guy. Like there's no middle ground, and like you get this one line. I'm like, okay, that's really interesting. That this is sort of how you react to it, and like just it's sort of like Shield. Like Shield, Thor came down and destroyed the small town without even thinking about it. Like Thor had a fight with Loki, and that's what happened. And so they started making these weapons and doing all the research, and like. It sort of weighed on Nick Fury. Like, they go into it, like, it's because of him. Like, we had to prepare for this. And I think it'd be interesting to delve into, like, this scientist's reaction to finding out that this universe is bigger and it's dangerous and we're not prepared for it. And I think you could have tried to make him maybe a little more sympathetic. Now, once again, having said that, still really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Still a really good movie. And you just don't have time to do all these things.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think they really found a great place with the pacing. Of
the pacing was fantastic. I never felt like I was waiting too long in one section or wondering when something was finally going to happen. So, while saying all these things, I'm like, okay, you'd have to then add other things to balance out all the things I'd like.
And then it would be a 4-hour movie.
Yeah, and then it'd be a 4-hour movie, which I'm okay with. That's my point. I guess that's my real point. Is I'm okay with 4-hour movies. I'm a nerd, so maybe the rest of America pick up the slack. So a lot of really good stuff. One of the only things that bother me is the ultimate end of the film, where essentially Guy Pearce is, he's super genetic out or whatever. And effectively the final fight is Pepper is in this. No, she's not in the suit. She gets super powered out.
Yeah.
And so she like has a part of the suit, and she like throws a missile from one of Tony's suits at him, and then like blasts it with heat. And explodes it and kills Guy Pearce. Except Guy Pearce just got blown up like 2 minutes before that and came back just fine. That like I don't have a problem with Pepper doing it. I don't have a problem with it being an explosion that kills him. I have a problem with doing that after just what I would think would be a bigger explosion happening, not 2 minutes before and failing to kill him. When because he traps him in the suit and he has himself destruct suit blows up. Like okay, and then Guy Pearce comes back like whatever, I'm fine. Fuck you. And then I was like, well, how did. Why did Pepper...
What was different?
Yeah, what was different about that one? And also, this guy seemed a little too hard to kill. Well, they seemed a little too plot convenient to kill. Like, okay, it's either impossible to kill them when you need them to, or if you need them to die, then this suit in the background can kill that guy. Because, like, Tony, like, shoots a hole through that guy's chest. Like, okay, so if your heart goes, does that mean you're dead? Because some of these guys, I'm pretty sure, would have lost their hearts. Or like if maybe you hit the part of your brain that they like alter, the health and regeneration part, like if you is it like a zombie, you hit the brain or something, they die. So it was a little poorly defined and just sort of.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think I could have just used a little bit of clarification.
Yeah, could use a little clarification. Like it was a cool effect, and I like the idea of these genetically altered people being the villains. Just I think a little more detail would have helped it. And these are all nitpicky things though. Like I really enjoy the film. I'm probably
and that's the kind of thing is when you get to a movie that's this good, like
yeah, you
that's
guys
all
don't
it
need
really is to say. Like,
you you don't need to tell us like action's awesome. Like, hey, like 40
Totally
Iron Man
perfect.
suits is super cool.
Yeah,
like when all those Iron Man suits show up, that's pretty cool. I don't know if you knew that.
I like the kind of allusion to the Hulkbuster.
Yeah, the Hulkbuster one.
suit was pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure because again, I'm not familiar with a lot of the comics about if any of those were the other types of suits were.
Oh well, there are. I mean, he's had so many suits, but now I'm sure every single one has been done in some form, or you could take everyone from the film and compare it to one of the ones from the comic.
Yeah.
I know there are ones that the piece sort of fly to him. I was a little relieved because when they first with Extremis, when that was introduced, that was also when he. I can't remember if this was part of the Extremis. Once again, I'm not as versed in comics as probably some of the people on the internet are. Probably. But I'm pretty sure that was around the same time that they changed his suit to like nanites. So I'm not sure if it's still this way, but at one point, like Tony Stark's Iron Man suit was just nanites in his body that would just fly out and suit around him. And like it works for comics. You're like whatever. Now I don't have to like Tony runs off to get a suitcase or the suit flies in from off stage. It just sort of saved time in the storytelling. But I didn't know how that would read on film, and I was like, I'm gonna trust them, and they just didn't do that. I'm like, okay, that's even better. Not doing that, like the flying to you and assembling on you was, I think, magic enough to like help the convenience of the story, but also not ruin my suspension of disbelief.
And then also used effectively for several jokes. So
yeah, there's some good jokes. Also some good action bits.
Jarvis had a lot.
Jarvis had some great.
I feel like this might be the biggest Jarvis movie.
I can see that. Also, before we forget, can we talk about Happy Hogan? Because Jon Favreau still plays Happy Hogan, which I was very relieved to hear. And I thought he was going to have like a cameo. He's actually in about as many scenes as you'd expect Happy Hogan to be in.
But they're just all front-loaded.
Yeah, it's front-loaded. Like it's really...
So the beginning of that movie is very heavy Happy Hogan.
Yeah, and it's just the way the story works out, because it wouldn't make sense for him to be around in the middle of it. There's a great joke about him, like, Iron Man, being Iron Man's bodyguard, and, like, you know, people laugh at me when I say I'm Iron Man's bodyguard? That actually is a great point. That's 100% accurate, because that is ridiculous. Oh, you're doing a really good job there, buddy, predicting Iron Man.
I also really liked the line that Favreau had about not knowing what was going on with the Avengers stuff. Because originally Jon Favreau was going to be directing the Avengers.
I don't remember that line. What did he say?
It was just something to that effect. He's like, oh, and then you're off like, hanging out with these Avengers, and I don't know what's going on, and and I was like, all right, that's delightful. That's good. He's a good sport about that.
I am glad they added the kid. Well, some point, like, okay, I'm glad that for some of the things this kid did. Like, the kid was a little tacked on if you really think about it.
Yeah.
There's a little out of nowhere.
I tried not to think about it because
when you get to the kid,
funny things were happening. So
when you get to the kid, just try to think about it and just let it happen to you, which is a terrible thing to say. But just sort of let it happen, and like good things will come out of it. Like I really love that he became the audience analog during a chunk where they went into Tony's stress and like, hey, talk about the Avengers in New York, and you should talk about that because that was really cool. Are they coming back? You think?
Fuck you.
Hey, what about Thanos? Did you see him after the credits?
I don't want to talk about this.
Did you just say the credits? That's super weird. So that I thought was a really good moment because it needed to happen. Like they brought up, I think, New York and that stuff enough in the film because you couldn't just not do it. You couldn't just be like, all right, Malibu, right? Yeah, this is great. I'm still Iron Man. There were some really good moments in that movie. Although the jokes were great, as you'd expect.
Yeah.
The performances were all there. I'm trying to think of any other. I feel like there was more I wanted to talk about on this movie.
I think we covered everything that I wanted to talk about.
A fun note, though, I did see at the end of the credits. It says Tony Stark will return. It does not say in what.
That's true.
So I at first I was like, in what? And I was hoping they were going to put, Avengers 2 or something. And I was like, actually, they're probably keeping it open because maybe I'll get my casual crossover. Maybe
we'll show up in Thor or the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
I think it'd be more likely to show up in Captain America. Just because Thor seems like it's going to be heavy off-planet stuff.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Or he could be in Guardians of the Galaxy. Actually, that was one of the things I read online. Someone's like, hey, with him building all these suits, it could very well end with him like building his outer space suit and like flying away to get away from like all the craziness that happened, and then like that'd be great after the credit scene if he like runs into the Guardians of the Galaxy, like even if you just have like one of them rendered or something.
Well, that's because I hear that Guardians of the Galaxy like takes place mostly in another galaxy, and then until like the last like 10 or 15 minutes.
So it's like Captain America, like, hey, we're in the next movie, we're in Avengers, so
yeah.
Yeah, because that Captain America scene might as well have been in Avengers. Like with him waking up in the present day, like, hell, you could have put that at the top of the Avengers, and it would have worked.
And they kind of did. Like, He's one of the first. I think he's the first. Yeah, he's the first one they go to.
Mm-hmm. So I think it's gonna be something like that, which I'm looking forward to. But no, I think it ends in a good place. The characters I think develop well. I was a little afraid because when I saw they were introducing Guy Pearce and the female scientist, I was like, are they just adding love interest for us to create fake tension about this relationship with Tony Pepper? And they didn't. Which credit them, because man,
it's Guy Pearce. He's super smart.
It's so easy.
That's awkward.
Yeah, it's so easy to do that, and they just didn't, and I love that. But yeah, the action's amazing. It's Marvel Studios. I'm glad there's no sophomore slump in Phase 2.
So I'm looking forward to Thor.
But before that, we have the Wolverine. The Wolverine will be the next time we see all our
the next one.
Wonderful viewers here.
I forgot about that.
Which I might be excited for if I hadn't heard of Days of Future Pasts.
Yeah.
Like, that ruined any anticipation I can have for any other X-Men movie. Sorry, Wolverine. I'm sure you're going to be perfectly pleasant. Is he in Days of Future Past? Is he being confirmed?
I can't... You can't have an X-Men movie without Hugh Jackman.
That's true.
So far.
He's so charming. I mean, how are you going to get singing and dancing without him?
It's true.
We're the X-Men, and we're here to stay.
Well, that'll do it. So, bye. God damn it.
That's the thing, remember?
God damn it.
It's from the Star Wars? It's made the...
No, I know.
Okay.
I know.
I feel like this couch is not meant to withstand both of us at once.
I don't know. It's holding up all right.